YouTube, brothers and sisters. My name is Tyler. I'm married to my beautiful wife Jessie, and we have two beautiful children together. Today, I wanted to talk about something that my wife showed me. But before we do that, I want to read this Bible verse from Matthew 19, verse 16. It explains, Jesus here explains what exactly we must do in order to attain everlasting life. So I'm going to read this. It says, "Now look, someone came up to him and said, 'Teacher, what good must I do to gain everlasting life?' He said to him, 'Why do you ask me about what is good? One there is who is good. Um, if, though, you want to enter into life, observe the commandments continually.' He said to him," this man's talking to Jesus, "Well, which ones?" Jesus said, "You must not murder. Um, you must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother. You must love your neighbor as yourself." The young man said to him, "I have kept all of these. What am I still lacking?" Jesus said to him, "If you want to be perfect, if you want to be, go sell all your belongings. Go sell your belongings and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. And come be my follower." All right. It says here, when the young man heard this, he went away grieved, for he had many possessions. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Truly I say to you, that it will be difficult for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heavens. Again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to get through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." And when the disciples heard that, they were greatly astounded, saying, "Well, who really can be saved?" Looking at them intently, Jesus said to them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." So, yeah, this young man obviously, well, most likely was very wealthy. He followed all the Ten Commandments, but he was lacking something. And what was that? Well, down here it says, Jesus says, sell your belongings and give to the poor. You'll have treasure in heaven, and come be my follower. Well, what this young man was lacking was love for his brother, like genuine love for the poor. Jesus cared about the poor very much. You remember the needy widow that dropped in the 2 coins of little value into I think it was a donation area in the temple. Well, a lot of religions, or what a lot of people teach, even the Jehovah's Witnesses, that that is a perfect example of how we should give to Jehovah, because you know that poor widow gave everything she had. But I honestly believe that Jesus was exploiting, or pointing out the fact that the the Pharisees were exploiting the poor and the widows for their money, but that's up for debate. Anyways, in the Bible, Jesus said, we'll be persecuted uh, for his name. We'll be persecuted. Jesus commanded us to love each other. The whole law hangs on that. It hangs on love for our neighbor. You remember the Good Samaritan? Uh, you know, it was a Jewish man who was beaten and robbed, and I'm pretty sure it was quite a few of his Jewish brothers just passed him by on the road, didn't care. But a Samaritan man picked him up and paid for his lodging, bandaged him, and actually cared for him. That was his neighbor. That's what Jesus commanded us all to do, to love each other. And, we will be persecuted for that. But what I want to say here is, as a Jehovah's Witness, we view persecution in a different way. And I will show that to you. Um, Type that in. Yeah. When we're persecuted as a Jehovah's Witness, it's usually because we're neutral, we don't fight in wars, um, we don't take sides in government, we don't participate in government, and because, we preach. But I'll let the video here do the explaining.
I was arrested and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for my neutrality.
I'm going to turn it up.
I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know what to expect from the surroundings
All
in
right.
prison.
Here we go.
I was arrested and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for my neutrality. The surroundings in prison were unfamiliar and overwhelming. I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know what to expect from them. I was the only witness. I was continually praying to Jehovah for power and strength to be able to resolve any problems in a peaceful manner and withstand any difficulties. In that situation, only prayer and God's word brought me comfort. But then my Bible was taken away from me. It was returned to me, though, sometime later. I was allowed to have literature on one condition, that I would not preach. True, preaching wasn't allowed, but that didn't mean I wasn't allowed to speak, did it? I was determined that no matter what happened, I would remain faithful. My good conduct had a positive effect on the other prisoners. Some of them started reading the Bible. Quite often, I couldn't even get my turn to read it. I didn't swear, and I kept myself physically clean. This didn't go unnoticed by the prison officials. One day they said to me, "Because you are morally and physically clean, we want you to be our head cook." That's how I became their chef. I constantly saw evidence of Jehovah's hand. The ministry was amazing. There were months when I served up to 120 hours. I placed more than 100 pieces of literature. Thanks to Jehovah, I was able to stay in full-time ministry the whole time I was in prison. This filled my heart with joy. The thought at 1 Peter 5:9, which says that the entire association of brothers is experiencing the same kind of suffering I was, strengthened me. I am confident that no matter what circumstances we find ourselves in, no matter who is around us, Jehovah will never abandon us. The day for my release finally arrived. It was a complete surprise for my mother. I hadn't told her. I will never forget that moment when we were reunited.
Okay, so basically, this brother here, he was sentenced to prison for a little over 2 years because of his neutrality, but in prison, he remained morally clean and physically clean. So he was promoted to a chef for I believe it said prison guard. But I felt I feel bad for people who go to prison. Especially and I mean innocent people and uh, my brothers and sisters who get thrown into prison. But my thing is here, he's he's preaching, he's handing out literature from the organization and using the New World Translation and teaching people these things. And based on everything that we discovered, a lot of false, and that's very concerning for me. You know, uh, I feel bad for him for being in prison and everything, but at the same time, I mean, you know, Jehovah is very, very swift to punish people. Like if people he loves, Um, I don't believe. I believe this is a form of persecution, but I don't believe it's the persecution of obeying Jesus. I don't believe that. This brother's being persecuted for um, spreading our version of the gospel. This is our version. Jehovah's Witnesses have their own version of the gospel, and I'll admit this. And we're spreading that. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to show you quite a different picture of persecution. My wife showed me this, and my mouth dropped. I was so shocked when I saw this. But it's about 12-minute video. I'll pause it to offer comments here and there. But yeah, just take a listen here. The video is called "Criminally Charged with Compassion."
Is this church being hit with criminal charges just because they're keeping their doors open to serve the community? I'm Stuart Shepard, and this is First Liberty Live. We are here in Bryan, Ohio, and we're at Dad's place. So that's
First of all, I gotta say, Bryan, Ohio looks kind of pretty in the snow, from what I can see here. Anyways.
This is Pastor Chris Savelle, who's watching over this congregation. Hi, Chris. Hello. Just want to talk to you about the work that you do here first, and then we'll get to the problems with the criminal charges that have come up against you. First, tell me about Dad's Place. What's this congregation like?
Well, it's a congregation of people who love Jesus from all walks of life, and we have people who come to the door who've never heard the gospel, and we share the gospel with them, and we have people who've been following Jesus for years. So we're a church, and we're here to do Christ's work, so that's what we are.
Not that long ago, you decided the best thing to do is to keep the doors open 24 hours a day. Why'd you make that decision?
Well, God had put it on our heart before we even opened, before we even started Dad's Place, and it was just the right time. We were getting more and more calls in the middle of the night for someone who had a need, and some other things going on. We just prayed about it and said, now's the time. This is the time God has called us, and He'd equipped us to be able to do it. And so we opened up 24 hours in March of 2023.
And to be clear, it's not a shelter in that there aren't beds here, but it is a place for people to come in out of the weather and just a place to be safe, right?
Yeah. My Lord says, come to me all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And not just rest as the world gives, but rest for your souls. And so we thought, hey, what a great thing that people can come in 24/7 and experience the true rest that only God could provide.
All right. I'm gonna pause this real quick. I believe his name is Pastor Chris Savelle. Yeah, I would have to agree with him. Jesus did say, come all who are weary, I'll give you rest. And I have never heard of any Kingdom Hall being open 24 hours a day to house the homeless or to provide for those in need. That's what Jesus commanded us to do. I'm amazed at this. Wow. I've never heard of the organization having a program to provide for the homeless. I mean, we say that, when our kingdom halls are destroyed in natural disasters and our brothers and sisters are displaced, we provide humanitarian support for them. But what about the rest of the people? Like, what about the rest of the world? Do we provide homes or places for them to sleep? Do we provide shelter? But I'll get more on that later. I'm gonna continue to play this.
For a long time after my husband died, and we lost our house because I didn't have it. I was living on $365 a month after my husband died to support my son and I, and we were alone. And then we came in here, and then we're not alone anymore. That's one of the things. The other is that at one time I was living in Columbus, near Ohio State, and a man came in to rape me. Dead to rights. But, God told me what to do, and I was fine, but the fear built in. But here, I'm not afraid. I can sleep right here. The doors is unlocked. And I know that the brothers here won't let anybody touch me.
Most people go to church on just, Sunday, and then they hardly ever see the people the rest of the week, so it's nice to be able to come back and actually get to know them better. as opposed to just seeing him every
year ago, January 3rd, we were walking the streets of Bryan, Ohio, and basically cold, broken,
pouring rain.
And we
Like
met
the first night out on the streets in a broken down container.
and we met with Pastor Chris and found not only our spiritual leader, but found God in the process. And it has been, I don't even know how to say it. It's
been a blessing.
It's a blessing, and it's a family. And it's been a very amazing year. It's been very ups and downs, but God's doing his thing, and we are here 100% full force in respect for Pastor Chris.
You walk in these doors, you come as you are. You're accepted as you are. You're welcome. You feel welcome. It's a church, but it's a family, and you immediately get that connection. You know what I mean? It's different from just, I grew up in churches my whole life, and I lost my walk with Jesus for a long time. And coming back here was the first time I was actually able to realize that I turned my back. Jesus didn't turn his back on me. I turned my back. And the trials and tribulations that I was going through, Jesus was there with me the whole time. And he brought me here in these doors to realize that and to see that. And without coming here to Dad's place, I would have never reconnected that, and I would still be very lost.
And I've been around Dad's since 2018, and it does wonders for people. I've seen so many different things happen. I've seen lives change, and without Chris and this place, and mainly without the man upstairs, God himself, I mean, it would be rough.
I have no real connection with my 5 adult kids, but I've got family here.
All right, I'm going to pause this real quick. I want to say, this is truly a beautiful thing. I have never seen anything like this. Like I said before, all my times going to the Kingdom Hall and enjoying the service, I have never seen anything like this. Wow. Also, I wanted to point out if you look behind this gentleman here, you see a specific name in this cross. It looks like it's at the very bottom. It looks like Jehovah. Huh. Okay, that's a coincidence. But I'm gonna continue to play this.
Not a few, but everyone who's here, whether they're the newest one who came through the door, or whether they've been here, as Robert said, for the entire time. And God's presence is just so unmistakable.
Where would these people go if it wasn't open? They'd be out on the streets. I mean, yes, they can go in their cars, but it's not the same as being inside out of the cold, or where else would they go?
And something I've heard you say that really stood out to me, and it's simply this. When we say worship in the modern church, we think of drums and guitars and keyboards and singers and all that. But you go back to a verse that says what true worship is. Tell me about that.
Yeah, taking care of widows and orphans. And it's very clear in Scripture, there's this, in Scripture, Jesus says to some of his followers, he goes, hey, when I was a stranger, you let me in. When I was thirsty, you gave me a drink. When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was a prisoner, you visited me, all these things. And man, we give gifts to those we love. And God gave us the greatest gift when he sent his son, Jesus, to die for us. And I want to give him good gifts. And that's the way I can give God gifts. That's the way I can worship him, is by caring for the least of these. And that's what he said. He said, anything you did for the least of these, you did for me. And so this is about me worshiping my God.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What he's quoting is when we're all being judged. When we're all being judged by Jesus. Hold on. I'll be right back. I had to go turn off the Alexa. Sometimes it just randomly talks to me, and I think my home's haunted sometimes. But everything's all good. Anyways, yeah, I have to agree with Pastor Chris here. 100%. You know, on Judgment Day, when Jesus is judging every single one of us, he does say, when have you fed me? When have you clothed me? Because you did the least of these for my brothers, you did it to me. And as a Jehovah's Witness, we're taught that those words that Jesus say aren't based on the needy. The needy aren't the least ones. It's the governing body. It's the governing body, the anointed. Our support for the anointed is our ticket to salvation. That's what Jesus was talking about apparently. But I don't believe that, because doesn't the Bible say that there's no name under heaven that we must be saved by except for Jesus' name alone? I mean, it also says that we shouldn't put our trust in princes or the son of men, because they can't give us salvation. So I will agree with Pastor Chris that those words spoken by Jesus are talking about those in need, for sure. Showing love to our brother. Our brother, our fellow man, isn't just Jehovah's Witnesses. It is everybody. It is everybody. But I will let him continue to speak here.
This is about me showing my love to Jesus by doing what he's commanded me to do. He says, if you love me, you will keep my commands.
Yes.
So that's what we try to do here at Dad's Place.
Okay, let's get into the legal part just a bit. And I've got Ryan Gardner here, who is an attorney with us at First Liberty. I'm going to drill him here in just a moment, so your time is coming. But first, tell me about when the 18 criminal charges showed up. Give us a picture of what that was like when suddenly someone came to the door and said, here you go.
18 charges.
I actually would have preferred it came that way originally, because I didn't find out about it till a friend had called and said, hey, what's going on at Dad's Place? And I was embarrassed to say, I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, it's in the front page of the paper. You're being charged with 18 charges, and kind of laid down. I said, well, I'll get right over there. I don't know. And so it's quite embarrassing. But, I'll tell you this, as you talk to Ryan here, God is so good, and he answered a prayer, because my prayer, I don't know what to do with this. I'm not a legal guy. But I prayed that he'd send me some legal counsel that knew him and loves him, and would be praying for me first and foremost. And God delivered. That's what he does. So I'm thankful Ryan's here, and Jeremy, Lisa, and the others of the team.
Yeah. Ryan, let's talk about this from a legal perspective. On the face of it, if I were just a news reporter, it adds a zoning dispute. But there's so much more going on here than that.
There's absolutely so much more than to a simple zoning dispute here.
Before I continue this, when I first saw this gentleman here in the video, I honestly thought he was a Jehovah's Witness. I honestly did. And I'm thinking to myself, uh-oh, I smell a judicial committee. Can't be in that man's church right now. But he's actually an attorney. So thankfully this pastor has one, because they're charging him 18 charges against this man. But for what exactly? Well, let's see here.
I have never seen a pastor get criminally charged. I'll repeat that again just for emphasis. Criminally charged with just doing the work that the church does. Caring for the needy, loving those who have no one else to love them, and seeking and saving the lost. That is all that Pastor Chris is trying to do here. But the city doesn't want him to do it here. To the city, the people here are the problem, and these people here need to go somewhere else. That is what this is truly about at the heart of it.
And the key to me today is we're here, temperatures in the 30s, we had snow overnight, more on the way tonight. The alternative is to say, instead of being here within the safe shelter of this place, and I'm using shelter in the broad sense, but a warm place to be, they're saying, no, you'd be better off on the street out in the cold.
That's exactly right. If the city has its way, Pastor Chris is going to be in jail, and they want these people on the streets because they have nowhere else to go. The city keeps saying, take them somewhere else. Where are they to go? Pastor Chris has a great relationship with the homeless shelter that is right next door, but the thing is that place fills up. And when that place is full, where are these people supposed to go? There is nowhere. And The city isn't doing anything to help these people out. And so if the church doesn't step in to do
Well, I'm going to say something too here. I don't see the Jehovah's Witnesses doing anything to help these people out either. Where are my brothers and sisters at for these people? They're in need. And this pastor here is being criminally charged for doing the right thing. Yeah, he is being charged for housing the homeless. Taking care of these people. This is really sad. This is really sad. I mean, I'm not exactly sure where Brian is, um, in Ohio, but uh, shame on the city for this. I I can't believe this. This is terrible. You know, if us as Jehovah's people really loved our neighbor, uh, we'd be fighting. We'd be fighting alongside with this pastor here. I mean, what an act of love. It really is. Yeah. I wonder how many of these homeless people are actually. I mean, I don't know if they're homeless, these people here, but I wonder how many of them are actually disfellowshipped and shunned by their family. Because I tell you right now, if I was disfellowshipped and I needed a place to stay, you think my mom would let me stay there? No. My brothers wouldn't let me stay there. You know, I one time I got into a real bad wreck. Um, it was a motorcycle wreck, and I almost died. And no, yeah, it's quite some time ago, but uh, yeah, my mom didn't even check on me. I don't even think she I mean, like, ever since I tried showing my mom the teachings that we have that contradict what the Bible says, she hasn't spoken a word to me. She has grandchildren. Hasn't spoken a word to me. But yeah, this man is getting charged for obeying Jesus. But I'm gonna let this video finish here.
that. Who's going to do it?
What's First Liberty doing with this case?
We are going to fight for Pastor Chris all the way on this case. What the city is doing here is unconscionable, and it is trampling his rights under the First Amendment, federal law, Ohio law. There are so many different levels of violations here, and it is completely unlawful what the city has done. And they have made it their mission to humiliate and harass this man all along the way. We talked about him being served papers. We at First Liberty tried to save him from even having to be served. We were in discussions with the city to waive service. But instead of talking with us, his attorneys, the city went around our back and served Pastor Chris on Sunday morning as he was coming in to preach the gospel. And on top of that, they tried to deprive him of counsel. This morning we were at the courthouse at his arraignment. Twice the city prosecutor tried to force Pastor Chris to go to court without the representation of counsel.
What's victory look like?
Victory looks a lot like what's going on here right now. Dad's place is open 24/7 and is able to love those who need it most, to care for those who need it the most, and most important of all, share the good news of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Chris, I have to ask, some people would say, why don't you just do services on Sunday? You don't need to do all this. Why is your heart in this? Why do you care so much about the folks behind us here?
Well, I sincerely believe we're commanded to do this to our ability, and so churches all over the country, including here in Bryan, Ohio, do this.
He is indeed correct. We are commanded to do this. We are. Even Jehovah's Witnesses, our own Bible says that, we are commanded to do this. But we're not doing it. I haven't seen it. Any viewers, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I have yet to see a homeless program in the JW community. For the people, worldly people. That's what we call everyone else who isn't a Jehovah's Witness, worldly. What an insult. But, yeah, we don't do this at all. And this man, he's doing the right thing. He is obeying Jesus.
And, but this is what God has called us to do and equipped us to do. And I don't believe it's an option. I believe it's a command.
Yes.
And I love God, and so I keep His commands the best I can. I'm a sinner. We all fall short of the glory of God, but I keep it the best I can. And this is who we are. We're a family. You know, these are my brothers and sisters according to Christ, and so I treat them like family because we are family.
Anything else you'd like to share before I let you go?
No, just a reminder, because it's important to me, that I love my city. This is our city. We love our city. And we know, we're a church, we know our battle isn't against flesh and blood. It's against the spiritual powers of darkness in this world, those governmental authorities of the enemy, let's say. And so, but I'm thankful that I have counsel like Ryan and Jeremy and Lisa and others who are here to step in and fill that gap with things I don't know how to deal with, right? Because God sent them as well. God uses all people. So I'm real thankful to have some of these guys here. I really appreciate it.
Well, we are honored to work alongside you. We're going to fight for you, with you, not fight with you, but fight alongside you. I want to make sure I say that right. You know, I don't want to get into.
Sometimes I need to be beaten up a little. That's okay. I know, for real. So
we're going to be fighting alongside you all the way till we win this thing. So we're very proud of you and the stand that you're taking. We're going to be with you the whole way. If you'd like to keep up with this case, I encourage you to do two things. One, would you subscribe to First Liberty Live? We will keep you updated as we go along.
All right. I am going to stop it here. And what I want to say about this this pastor here is, like I said before, I have never seen anything like this. The organization doesn't do anything like this, and we should. We should. But Pastor Chris said that he views everybody as his brother. that is a very correct statement. That's how we should view our fellow man as our brother. As a Jehovah's Witness, we say that we view others in the world as potential brothers and sisters. That's a terrible thing to say because what happens when they fall in need. We got to look out for our brothers, right? I cannot believe this man is being persecuted. This is persecution at its finest example. This man is being persecuted by the city, and not only that, the judicial system is actively working against this man. It's just sick. It breaks my heart to see this, and I do believe I've met this pastor here before. I've seen, me and my wife were rolling like I said, I don't know exactly where Brian is, but I'm sure we drove through it, and I've met this man, and he asked me what I believed. What was my faith? I thought that was an odd question because, I as a Jehovah's Witness, I don't really go around asking people in detail, what exactly they believe. But he asked me what I believed, and I told him I was a Jehovah's Witness. And you want to know what he said to me? He didn't say, "Wow, you better leave that," or well, they're false teachers. No, he said, do they obey Jesus? And I thought about that. I thought about that a lot, and that's pretty much what got me down on this road. I mean, do we obey Jesus? I mean, we listen to Jehovah, but I feel like Jesus is on the back burner a lot, and Jesus commanded every single one of us who love Him to love others, and this man is doing a good job of that. So, I just would like know what your thoughts are about this, and yeah, pray for this brother. I will call him my brother because he's doing exactly what Jesus commanded. He may not be a Jehovah's Witness, but I don't feel like a Christian denomination labels us as followers of Christ, because Christianity, I don't believe, is a religion at all. It is a faith, and yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about that. And I really wish that the governing body would at least approve a program for the homeless, a program for homeless people in the world, like this brother's doing. 24 hours a day his church is open to the homeless. All a family, he said. And guess what? The name of Jehovah was in their church. So, um, yeah, I'll send my I want to send my love to Pastor Chris Avell, and you know, please pray for this brother, honestly, because that is persecution at its finest. I mean, what are Jehovah's Witnesses being persecuted for? Being neutral. Well, okay, you know, that isn't a bad thing, being neutral. But I mean, we also spread false gospels, man. I mean, we teach false teachings. We blaspheme the name of God at times. And this man's doing exactly what Jesus said. And he's also being persecuted. So I will leave it here. And, oh, the Coleman family says, have a good one.